Hello, everybody. Welcome and thanks for joining. My name is Tiago, and I'll be giving just a short presentation about myself, and then we will move on to the topic of the session, which is like, let's just build some stuff. I will be building along some stuff and then talking with you guys about my thought process when building stuff out of Lego bricks. But let's get to the chase and just start with the presentation. So yeah, I'm Tiago. I was a Lego designer, but first a little bit about myself. I'm from Portugal, this small country over here in Europe, and that most of you guys have probably heard about Cristiano Ronaldo, which is the most famous soccer player of the world, and is of course Portuguese. And is a big proud person and a proud to us as Portuguese people. Lego has been in my life since forever. And there was this Christmas where my mother gave me a budget when we went to a toy store. And then she asked me she gave me the budget actually and said, whatever you want to pick for Christmas, here's your budget. You choose whatever you would like. And I took Lego. And from there, I kind of never stopped playing with Lego, which was kind of cool. Well, I did start to play with Lego a bit when I was a teenager. We all have that time when our priorities are somewhere else. But then in university, I was doing some research for a project that I had, and then I stumbled upon Lego again. So that rekindled my passion for Lego. So I went to pick my old bricks from my parents' house and then started to build things on my own. And these are some of the buildings that I was doing back then. And I kept practicing, and over time I also improved my photography skills. So I started taking nicer pictures, and also continued to learn by watching what other people were building online and such. So these are some of the builds that I was doing back then when I was just a Lego fan. I joined a group of Lego fans as well online, and then I found out about the possibility of working for Lego, so that you could actually get a job working for Lego and playing with bricks all day. So I put together a portfolio of some of these builds that you can see here in the pictures. And then I sent my portfolio to Lego when they had a job opening. Things went super well. They called me for a Skype interview. It was fine. Then I went to a 2-day workshop in Denmark, and they were also very happy with me. So a few days later, they called me back and offered me a job at Lego. So I was in the Creator 3-in-1 team, which was an awesome team. And we used to make those really cool sets that have like a 3-in-1 offering. So there's the main model that you see on the box, but then on the side, you also have some alternative models. So you can build all 3 models, not at the same time, but you get instructions for all of the models. And in that way, you can kind of get a sense of what Lego is all about, you know? It's like building or rebuilding. So I had a lot of fun while doing that over there. And this is me. You can see there on the arrow, and the other guys were the rest of the Creator 3-in-1 team. This here is an image of my first official design task. So I had a colleague of mine working on a big blue supercar, and then I was helping him out doing the alternative models, the models that you can do with the pieces from the main model. So this was my official design task when I was working for Lego. And this was the first set that I did on my own, the modular poolside holiday. And these are some of the other Creator 3-in-1 sets that I did while I was working there. But during my time at Lego, there are 2 models that I'm very, very proud of. One of them is the Lego Ideas ship in a bottle. I had a lot of fun, and Lego designers usually like to have a bit of fun when they're designing their models. So they will put like small Easter eggs inside of the builds. So in this case, I was able to put my initials over here on the wax seal there in front of the bottle, and then a Portuguese flag on the back of the ship inside of the bottle. And another model that I was very, very proud of having worked on was the gingerbread house of the Winter Village series. This one was released last year, actually. So I had a lot of fun. Working for Lego was truly my dream job. And I did that for 3.5 years. But at some point in time, me and my family decided that it was time to go back home, in Portugal. And I was thinking to myself, well, I had my dream job, so what am I going to do now? So from my previous employment, I had some skills in video editing and stuff. So I knew about video, and I also knew a thing or two about Lego. So at the time, I was watching a lot of YouTube channels, a lot of Lego YouTube channels as well, like Jang Bricks and all those guys. And I thought to myself, well, maybe I could try to do this YouTube thing and let's see how it works. And so for the past year, I've been focusing full-time on doing this YouTube channel of mine. And things are going really, really well. And the focus of my YouTube channel is like teaching people how to build cool stuff out of their Lego bricks. And this can be everything from simple furniture to vehicles to some of the things that you see here, like a Lego food or a cake or a chocolate or some glasses. This is the place where I work on with my Lego neatly sorted. That's very important for me in order to be able to find the pieces that I need to build something really, really fast. These are some examples of the builds that I've been doing for the past year. It's super cool, it's super fun. And that's it for my very, very short presentation. Now, we should be focusing on builds. So, and meanwhile, if you have any questions, please do ask away, and then Keith will help me relaying some of those. I'll just be talking a little bit about building and my thought process when I'm designing a new object or a new build for my Lego channel. So for me, there are some important or very important things which are shape, color, and details. Usually, most of the stuff that I build are based on real life. So, and if you look at objects all around you, they're all based on like rectangular shapes or circles or squares or whatever. And that's a really good entry point to whatever you build on Lego, because with Lego bricks, you also have like square shapes and rectangle shapes and all that. Then the most important thing to me as well is color, blocks of color. So let's talk, for instance, about a bed. For a bed, there are like 2 to 3 different and strong colors to a bed and to every object, if you think about it. But a bed has the base, so that's one color, and then you get the blankets, that's another color, and then you have the pillow, that's another color. So for me, that's my thought process when thinking about builds, also doing some research on Google, trying to look for images of real life stuff so that I can recreate them in Lego. But yeah, for instance, let's start with the example of the bed that I was just telling you about. So whenever I want to do something, I'll start to think about the shapes. And the bed is usually brown. So this would be my starting point for a bed. And the base of the bed also has some feet. I guess we could call them that. And notice that I'm using the same color for it. So, and then we continue with the base of the bed, all in the same color. And yeah, you get the very basic shape of the bed. Then there's the pillow that I was talking about. And for that, I choose a different color. So there's this white slope. And then for the blankets, another strong color. And like you see, just with a few elements, like 10 pieces or less, you have a very simple bed. And that's usually my approach to buildings and to furniture stuff like that. I'll just start with shapes and then colors and then try to build stuff as simple. Sorry about that. And try to build stuff as simple as possible, because that way that will also allow people to follow my tutorials on YouTube or check my images on Instagram. So shape and color. This is also a good example that I have here. And I like to do these 10-piece build challenges because those are awesome for you to learn new tricks and to push yourself to be very smart how you use the bricks and how you choose them. For instance, I'm not sure how it is usually in the US and or on people's surroundings, but here in Portugal, there's usually, it's very common to have these 3 colors representing recycling bins, maybe on parks and stuff like that. So again, there's a base color. For this one, color is very important, but also shape. So these bins are round, and then you can clearly see all the different aspects, like the plastic, the paper, and then the glass bin. And also, again, shaping and detail on top of here. So these would be like the holes where you put your waste in. So yeah, simple stuff.
One question here for you.
Yeah.
All right, so let me just scroll back up. All right.
Here's one of my favorites that I see is, what is your favorite Lego set?
There you go. Yep, that was one of them.
Okay, my favorite Lego set. That's a good question. One of them is the Saturn V rocket that's right here. It's an amazing set with awesome building techniques. I was a designer for 3.5 years, but after I left, I built this one. This was one of the boxes that I took with me when I left the job. And even after having worked for Lego building this, I learned a lot of new tricks and a lot of new techniques. So that's also something that I really like to do, like building Lego sets, because I always learn some new tricks. Technique-wise, this is my favorite, but then my favorite of all time is actually Ninjago City, because it's super cool if you know Creator Expert as the modular line. So these modular buildings, which are really, really beautiful and detailed. But for me, sometimes like the second and the third floor are basically the same. The only thing that changes is like the interior details. So it tends to become a bit boring in my eyes, of course. But Ninjago City is amazing because it's small buildings, you know, then you have a room, and then you have a restaurant, and then you have something, and then you have lots of different rooms, lots of different stores and stuff, all stacked upon each other. And then it has amazing building techniques and amazing functions. So that for me, Ninjago City, as of now, it's one of my favorite Lego sets.
Excellent. And while you're going there, another person asked, what was the most difficult part about designing the ship in the bottle?
Stability, because the initial idea from Jake Sadovich was really cool, but huge. It was super unstable, so we have to tone that down in size. And in doing so, a lot of the design from the original submission from Jake Sadovich changed quite a bit. So it was challenging to scale it down, everything, but in order to make it stable and to make it for a really nice building experience for people. So, but the bottle itself as well was super challenging because there aren't a lot of transparent elements in the Lego assortment, and making the base of the bottle round while being transparent was really, really challenging. We were on the park, on the recycling bin, so I also like to use basic shapes like plates and tiles to do instantly recognizable stuff. For this example here, I'll just be stacking some plates like this. And then if you wish to follow this in detail, you can watch all of the tutorials for these builds that I'm showing on my YouTube channel. But yeah, this doesn't look like much, but then you turn it to the side and it's actually a very cozy bench where people can sit. And again, like blocks of color, which I really, really like when designing objects. You can see the brown, like mimicking the wood plates, the wooden plates of the bench, and then some gray underneath, like concrete or stuff. Like it could be a bench with a mix of concrete and wood, which is super cool. Also in the park, sometimes you get to see sandboxes, and sandboxes, it's another of those builds which is super simple and relies solely on color and shapes. So for this one, I will use a 6x6 plate and then a 4x4 as the sand. You can also detail it around, and instead of using simple bricks, sometimes using some of these special bricks like this will give it that little bit of extra detail that will make the build pop even more. And one of the pieces fell back there, so I'm sorry about that. And yeah, and then with a simple detail as well, like a bucket, and then you get to build with, again, very few pieces, like a sandbox. I hope you guys are enjoying these tips. Park again. This time around we start with the grass and then gray. This will be an all gray build and with a simple shape like this, but then with the jumper plate on top, you can put things outside of the usual system. Then you get a button here, and then you can use some of these detailed pieces. These are awesome for stuff like these. In this case, we have a drinking fountain. But these pieces here are awesome also to build like sinks for bathrooms and sinks for kitchens as well. I love this one. Again, speaking of details, there's this thing that you can actually build as well. Simple shapes, simple colors. Again, with some detailed bricks like these, you put 4 of these all around, and then you have yourself a nice thing where you can put some flowers. And I really like the fact that you can build so many objects using very few pieces, and it doesn't take long. As long as you keep this in mind about the shapes and colors, strong shapes and strong colors make for easily identifiable objects, which is something that I really, really like with Lego.
We have another question if you care to answer.
Yes, of course.
So there, any suggestions for anyone who would want to work at Lego in the future, like university classes and stuff like that? What should they concentrate on?
Yeah, so usually you would need to have a design degree, usually like toy design or product design. That would be the best way to go about it when you go to university. But not always, because like me, I, for instance, have a design background, but the portfolio that I sent to Lego was actually full of pictures of my own custom builds, stuff that I did on my free time, so original creations, and that was the thing that I sent on my portfolio to Lego. So it kind of depends on what Lego is looking for people who want to do a Lego model designer job. But usually it's like for studies, you would need like a design degree, any kind, but usually toy design or product design would be your best bets. But then there's this other way, the AFOL or the Lego fan way of entering, which is making a portfolio of your original builds out of Lego bricks and then send that in. And that's, in my example, how I got the job at Lego. Still with the park theme, square shape, but then round shapes. Some of these require some very special bricks in a way, I guess, but these are somewhat common. And then, yeah, round shapes are really good for fountains. So then we start using some of these round bricks and some of these specialized elements. Bear in mind, this is only 10 elements, but then with a water piece up there, you get a very easy to do fountain. Next up, detailing. Detailing, so shapes and detailing. This is a cool one. Round shapes are present everywhere. So these might not look like much. It's just a round shape, but then what happens if you put some detailing on top? You have some chocolate bits over there, and suddenly you have a cookie. Maybe I'm the only one having fun with this, but I don't know. I really have fun while creating these simple objects with very few elements, but I think it's super cool. And you guys should try this exercise of setting yourself a challenge of, let's make a bed out of 10 pieces. Let's make furniture pieces, furniture appliances out of only 10 pieces, for instance. That's what I've been doing on some of my YouTube videos, and it's been super fun and super challenging as well, trying to figure out what are the best uses for the bricks in order to get like the shapes right away. Speaking of furniture again, only 2 colors. With this one, we start with a 2x4 plate, a brick, and a brick here in the back, and then these modified bricks here with studs on the side are great for adding details to your builds. And I really like these bricks here. And then if you use some of these jumper plates, they're called jumper plates because they allow you to jump a stud, put a stud in the middle there. And with 4 of these in the front, you have like a dresser for a bedroom. So this would go nice along here with the bed. Again, using one of these bricks with side studs. There's also a super simple build that you can do, which is an old style radio. Then you put an antenna on top. There you go.
Hey Tiago, we got a lot of interest in your Pac-Man and Ghost there.
Okay.
Can you maybe describe what you've got and what you want to make those?
For sure. So again, it goes back to shapes. Let's see Pac-Man. What do you see here? It's just a sphere, you know, but then you cut out like a piece in there, then you fill it with black, then you put some eyes, and then you have Pac-Man. Then you have also blinking, I think it is. And if you look on top of here, it's also a sphere shape, but the sides, instead of being curved, you just prolong them, and then you have some details. I'm happy that people brought that up because have you ever tried to do a Lego sphere? So thank you. This will look super cool now. So a sphere is a bit of a more complex shape, but if you ever want to build a sphere, this is probably a way for you to start. So you could start with a 4x6 plate, and then underneath you put a 2x8. Maybe that like this, you can see it better. And then a 2x6 here and a 2x6 here. This is what you get from the top. And then 1x4 plate here and here on the side. and then you go back to a 2x6 again, and you put it across like this. 2 more 1x4. And you can see that as we start stacking some of these plates, then you kind of getting to see the sphere shape of it coming along. Then we use one of these 4x4 on top of here, a 2x2, and then a 1x2 here, and the 1x2 in here. So this is one of the sides of the Lego sphere, and then you would need to build this 6 times. I'm so glad that people asked about it. Then we will use some of those bricks with side studs that I showed before, because those are great to connect things together. And then I was talking about these guys here. And then you just need to take one of these faces and then place 4 of these all around. So this should be it. So you have 4 of these. I probably should do a tutorial of this on YouTube. And then you should do the same to another of those 6 pieces that you've just built. So you get 2 pieces of this with the side studs. And then you have a third one, which you will connect like this. And then you get the other one and you connect it like this. And then you start doing the same for all of the faces around the sphere, the soon-to-be sphere. And there you go. And then you can use these spheres for everything. So these here are good examples. I also have another one here, which is a globe, and the sphere, it's there, but then you have to change some colors around. But yeah, that's how I went about doing the globe here, and also the Pac-Man and Blinky. Pac-Man is a little bit more complex because I had to like carve out this section over here, and then trying to figure out the math of the brick and how everything went inside was a bit challenging, but it's also super cool. And if you want to build one, you can find the tutorial on my YouTube channel. Yes? Any more questions?
Yeah, we got kind of a two-parter here that I know a lot of people probably are always curious about. First part is it hard to get new molds made? And second, when you design sets and all the interior small pieces are random colors, why do you guys use all those little random colors like in the cars or for the interior of the build?
Yeah, I get that. So for the molds thing or new pieces, I think that's what you were saying. Yeah, each team at Lego has a set number of changes that they can do for their sets every year, and that being like color changes or new pieces that they need. For instance, like Ninjago and Star Wars always have like new characters or new head pieces or elements or whatever. So they always need some to make like new elements that don't exist anymore. In Creator 3-in-1, that wasn't the case because we usually didn't use like new pieces, but we also got access to some of those numbers, the ability of making new stuff. And for us, it was usually like picking existing bricks, but changing their color. So a brick like this that didn't exist previously, let's say on purple, but we really needed it to make it to make a model work, then we would have the ability to change that. But it depends on the teams. Teams like Star Wars get a lot more possibility of doing like new elements because they need it for the new characters and whatnot. So it kind of depends also on the team that you're on. And for the other part, the colored insides of sets. So it's to make it easy for people to build, because in the end, probably those colorful bricks are all covered up, you know, when you're finished with your car or whatever. But as you're building it, it would be really hard. Let's say you have a black car. If all of the pieces that you were stacking on the build were all black, that at some point in time, it would be really hard to know where you should place the next piece, because everything is black. Everything is black. So if here and there you have like an orange piece or a white piece or a green piece that are really in your eyes and you can't really miss it, then it's less likely that you will do building mistakes. And Lego does this having kids in mind, mainly because kids can get a little frustrated if they get the build wrong. So Lego tries to, as much as possible, make the building experience enjoyable and less prone to mistakes, so that in the end, kids, which is the main focus of the brand, have an enjoyable experience. Hope that answers the questions.
I think that was really good. I think that answered a lot of people's questions.
Awesome. Sometimes what I also like to do with Lego are small logos. This is a square shape that might not look like much, but then once you start adding some tiles on top of it, let's try to not get this wrong. It's Facebook. So this is fun. There's literally nothing that you can't do out of Lego bricks. And this for now is the last build that I had prepared for you guys. Again, strong colors and strong shapes. So for this now, this doesn't look like much, but I'm trying to do a box here. And you will understand in a minute why I did this false bottom. So yeah, we'll be doing it like this. Red box, nothing too special about it, but then you start picking some of these plates and tiles, yellow ones, and then once you put a bunch of them inside, you got yourself a pack of French fries. Super simple, but yeah, cool stuff that always makes people laugh, or at least for me, it makes me laugh when I get to these builds. And yeah, I don't know. So we still have like 15 minutes. So the next thing that I have is actually proposing people a challenge, or I guess you guys are challenging me. I got this new bootleg box from Lego IKEA, and this has a cool selection of bricks. And what I'm about to do is like, I will dump these bricks and then I will want you guys to tell me to build something on the spot. And then to the best of my abilities, I will try to build whatever you guys are suggesting. Keep it simple to simple stuff like maybe furniture objects. I always go back to furniture because those are really simple and easy to do, but yeah. Challenge me. And if you want to throw some more questions while I'm building, please do. And then Keith, Please
Yeah,
let me know what people are challenging me.
yeah, for sure. I think we're just waiting for those to come in. Somebody does have a question though. Can you talk more about your goals and plans for continuing to build your independence as a creative and entrepreneur? Do you have other plans outside of YouTube?
Yeah, right now I'm trying to, as much as possible, diversifying my income streams because YouTube is very volatile. It's very uncertain where it can go because, for instance, last year there was this COPPA thing going around, and that meant that most Lego channels or Lego YouTube channels got their earnings cut down significantly, to the point of some of them not being able to make a living out of it anymore. So I don't have like super long-term goals, but for now, my priority is to diversify as much as possible my income stream. So right now, I make a very comfortable income out of my YouTube channel. But like I said, things can change. So I'm looking into doing partnerships here in Portugal, maybe sponsored videos. That could be a way, maybe opening a Patreon account so that I could offer people some more insights on the stuff that I do on YouTube, access to exclusive content. As a builder, I'm also taking on some commissioned work. So that's also a way of me as a Lego builder being able to do some extra cash on the side. So I have been contacted a couple of times already to do like commissioned work, and those could be anything. And if there isn't any problem with it, and I'm challenged by the project, I'll take it on, and I'm working on two right now, two commission projects. But let's see. And what I do is mostly video, YouTube video. So I'm trying to expand also for other video platforms, because there's also something to be learned there, and maybe to be earned there. I hope that was clear enough.
Yeah. All right. So we've got a ton of requests in here for to build.
Okay.
The first thing I see coming up from a lot of people is micro scale anything.
Micro scale anything. Okay.
So we have micro scale train, micro scale Star Wars, helicopters, Hogwarts castle.
Wow.
Yeah. just
wow.
looking out there right for you.
Okay. I guess let's see. I could try to do an helicopter. So yeah. And if there's any questions, meanwhile, please shoot them. Okay. Mini scale anything.
A question for the 3-in-1 creators.
Yes.
I'm not sure if you worked on those or not, but they ask, how do you go about the 3-in-1? Do you come up with the three kind of as a collaborative together, or do you work on the main one and then try to figure out two sub builds after the fact?
Okay. So it's a team project, but you get assigned your set. So the set you're supposed to design, you're assigned those, and then you usually start with the main model. So for me, how it happened was like I would build the main model, and then after I was very happy, and my manager was happy with the end result and all of the team's input on it, then I would move on to B and C models. So I would take the pieces from the A model and then try to come up with other stuff for alternative models. But that sometimes meant that I had to do some back and forth work between the three models, because maybe I was missing a very important piece to make like the alternative model work. So in order to get that piece, then I would have to go to the main model and then change it to be able to incorporate that new piece that I needed to make the B and C models work. So it was a lot of back and forth, but it was a fun challenge. For me, sometimes it's easier to work with a constrained set of pieces, you know, because yeah, because it was kind of scary when I got into Lego, like when my manager started giving me design tests, so you should design this or that. And then I had at my disposal, like every Lego element that you could possibly imagine. I had them all, and it was quite challenging for me to be able to pick the right one. So working with a constrained volume of pieces was super cool and super fun for me. So it was like main model first, and then the alternative models, and then sometimes back and forth to make all three models work.
Awesome. We got about 7 more minutes here before we have to shut the room down.
Okay, then I'll have to try my best to do that helicopter thing. Okay. And if there's any more questions, please.
There's one here. What build are you most proud of?
My Lego sets, or my Lego, like the tutorials that I made on
Any of them.
YouTube. I think on YouTube it was a swing. It's kind of a simple build, but it was one of those that I was cracking my head and couldn't get it to work anyway. So I gave up on the build and like left it here on my workspace. But then after a while something clicked, and oh, I could use this piece to make the connection work, and then everything worked out after that. So the swing is probably one of my favorite builds out of my building tips. As for Lego set, I would say it's chip in a bottle was super challenging and fun to do, but also I have like a small poly bag. It's a pug. So it's one of those small plastic bag sets, which was a pug in this case. And I had a lot of fun designing that one, because it was also super challenging because it was like a 3-in-1 model. So I had to make this work in a very small amount of pieces, with a small amount of pieces. So the pug and the ship in a bottle were some of the favorite sets that I had designed.
Somebody on here would like to know how old you were when you started building.
I should be about 8 or 9 years old, because looking back at the first sets, the first Lego sets that I ever got, and then looking at the times that those were released to the general public, I can pinpoint to me starting at Lego at about that age, like 8 or 9 years old, I would say. There aren't a lot of specialized elements in this IKEA Bugleg set. So some of the details might be hard to pull off.
Maybe one last question there, because we've only got about 4 minutes left. And I know this is a question I always wondered when I was a kid building sets.
Okay.
How do they put the instructions together? Is it before, during, while, after?
Okay.
What's the process there?
So the building instructions are usually after the model itself has been finalized and has been designed. So my job as a model designer was to design, let's say, the helicopter. And once I was happy with it and my manager was happy with it, and there were some meetings to say that, okay, this is a good model that could go into production. And that's where the building instructions team comes in. And those are a completely separate team whose sole purpose is to design the building instructions. So I would also have meetings with them to show them the model, how it's built, how I thought about it being built. And then they would take over and get a copy of the model and then break it down and then put it into a specialized software so that they can generate the building instructions. Yeah. Like I was saying before, there aren't a lot of specialized elements in these, so it's kind of hard to get some of the shapes right. Let's just try to find something here for the tail. And yeah, that's my helicopter. Sorry, it's not one of my proudest builds, but yeah, given this box here is super cool, but it's full of like super basic bricks, like bricks and plates. So you're missing all of the specialized elements, like something that would allow you to spin the propeller up top. But yeah, it's all about the shapes and the blocks of color still in my eyes. So there's an helicopter. Any last minute questions?
I think we're good, unless you can answer in 2 minutes or less.
Yeah,
How
yeah,
do you
sure.
decide if you're going to put a sticker or a printed piece into a model?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what decide between the two?
It all comes down to cost. There's a certain budget, so if you go above it, or not if you go above it, but sometimes, and there's like sets who have a lot of stickers, it's cheaper to have stickers instead of having like the printed elements, because for printed elements, specialized machines that print on the bricks, and for stickers, you only need a printer to print on the sticker sheet paper. So it comes down to cost and whether you have some to spend or not when you're designing a Lego set.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
It was great having you. Thank you everybody else for joining us today. That was really fun to talk to you and listen to this and watch
Okay.
it.
Okay.
Yes,
I really hope you guys enjoyed it, and thank you so much for having me on BrickCon, and I hope you get to enjoy the rest of the convention. And if you're interested in some of this stuff, be sure to follow me on Instagram and YouTube. My name is Tiago Catarino, so you will be able to find all of these builds that I was showing before and more over there on those social media. So thank you.